Howdy folks, today we're going to be talking about gutters. A very easy to fix, very easy to install, often overlooked maintenance household item. It's actually more destructive if they're put in wrong than if they're just not put in at all. And if they're messed up, they can do some serious damage to a house, to its foundation. A lot of basement leaks come from the gutters, and so I'm going to show you how to fix that and some of the problems that happen from improperly maintained gutter system. So let's go. This house has concrete basement walls. As you'll see, it's starting to deteriorate. This concrete is. You can get down to the metal here almost. A lot of this is related to the amount of water and moisture that's contacting the wall. Water will deteriorate brick and block. If you look at the bottom of buildings, a lot of times you'll see all the brick layer and the mortar is all kind of crumbling out. That's because of the amount of water that's hitting it. And this shouldn't happen if the gutters were in correctly. The water would be leaving the house and you would have much less water hitting the foundation walls. Alright, this is a pretty extreme example, but this may have only been like this for about a year. They've had this gutter off, and as you can see, it's deteriorated the wood siding to almost nothing. And even further down, if you see this, it's crumbling the corner of the foundation, which is one of the spots you need the most support. So that's all just from the water running down, and this is a very easy fix. But they let it sit for too long, so it did a whole lot of damage. All this damage could have been prevented with about $4 worth of material. I got all this. This is all standard white aluminum gutter. Get this in any sort of hardware store. I'm just going to extend this here and then run it on down the hill. I'm going to cut this guy. These all just sort of snap together like Legos, and you put a single screw in. But anyway, that would have prevented all this nonsense right here. It's kind of hard to see because it's not raining, but if you look up here, this gutter goes along here, comes down, supposed to go, theoretically would leave the side of the house. But if you look right here, one, the way the concrete is sloped and the way the gutter stops, it actually all just runs right back to the house. And not only that, but it doesn't even make it that far because it's blocked up right there, because it's sort of falling out. If you can see this gutter screws coming out, so the weight of the water pushes it here, so it overflows there. And it's all been dropping right there. See this whole thing buckled, cracked, drop this guy right here. I'm not really sure quite yet how I'm going to hoist this stair back up, but I'll have to put another, put another layer of concrete on top of that with some thin Portland and some bonding agent, but that's a video for another day. This stuff is pretty easy to cut. Typically I would cut it with a grinder and a cutting wheel, but I just want to show you how you don't need all that stuff to do it. Need a piece 51 and a half. I made it 51 and a half. Again, I could use a grinder, cutting wheel, use a hacksaw, but you can just use a pair of snips. It's very thin aluminum. Just pinch right through it. And you're like, that doesn't look like a pretty cut. It doesn't have to. The other thing you want to remember is the male to female, right? The part that goes inside the other, that's crimped, you want that to be downstream from the one that's going to be in. Put that guy in there, as tight as it'll go, and then just a tiny little self-tapping screw to hold it in place. I'm not using one here because the wood's rotten. I got to take it off anyway just in order to replace the siding later. But in order to secure this, really it's just you screw that to the wall and then that wraps the gutter and then you screw it to the gutter. That's all it takes to secure it to the building. But again, I'm cutting this out. So, alright, in order to fix those other screws, for that other part, I got these gutter screws. Gutter screws are pretty straightforward. Inside the gutter you put this plastic thing, and then outside you drill a hole, and then you drill it, and then you screw it on into the wood. And what this plastic does is it keeps the gutter from collapsing when you're screwing it in. All very well demonstrated by the cover. This is the plastic bit. That's the outside. That's the wall. That's the gutter. Keeps it from collapsing. I'm gonna take the old nails out. That's what they used to use, and put some of these dudes in. And that ought to keep it nice and tight. Alright, now that I got my gutters fixed up and the water running away from the house, I need to start addressing some of the damage that occurred from said gutters. I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. I want to get, especially because this is the corner of the house, that is very important for structural support. So I'm going to fix that concrete up. First I'm going to need to get some of this shrubbery and such out of the way. Alright, see down in here, I'm going to try to get to everything that's solid. Get all the dirt off, get it as clean as possible. If anything's loose, you got to chip it off. This has been rotting for some time. A lot of this up here seems pretty good. This fence doesn't make life very easy. I gotta just go around and do the other side. You can almost hear it. You can hear where it's hollowed out. But you want to get all that moss and mold, and especially down here, get all this dirt off. I'm going straight Portland on here. Straight Portland and glue. Get this at basically any hardware store. Yeah, this is a bonding agent. It's not cheap, but it helps out a lot. I'm going 4. And then I use four halves. Sorry, my brain's not working. 4 halves, and then I'm going to do a quarter of this, and a little bit of water, and then another quarter of water. Sorry, that was the most convoluted measuring ever. But basically, 4 halves of this, then a quarter of this. Bonding agent, and then a quarter of water. It's going to get hard to mix because it's real sticky. There's a lot of glue in it. But that's what you want. You want it to be good and sticky. Alright, I don't want to soak it too much because it'll be in the mud, but it has to be wet. Wherever you put in mortar, it won't bond unless it's wet. You want to get it on there, slap it on there as hard as you can. Marking it so when it sets up, it'll receive the next level of mortar, or the next level of Portland pretty well. Alright, what I'm doing now is I cut the joints so it looks like they're still there. I wet my brush down really well. Get it really soaked. And then kind of, otherwise you're going to look like this patch, and you don't want that. You want it to look as natural as possible. Alright, and I don't want my patch to look like a patch, so I got a big bucket of water and a sponge. And I just kind of smooth it out. Yeah, not too bad. I'm going to let it set up for a couple days, and then I'm going to backfill it. But as you can notice, again, you got to keep the grading away from the house. That's a big problem. I'll take you over here and show you a better example. The reason that corner got all jacked up is you can see how the dirt basically channels the water back against the house, which is not what you want, because if you come inside, wherever that happens is where you're going to have the most damage. It runs the water right back through, and it's got no place to go but back inside your basement, so that's not good.
Also, I had a lot of extra mortar, so I want to show you the difference between the parged wall and the non-parged wall. The one on the left has been parged, look beautiful, nice, clean, elegant. And then the one on the right, not. Look at that garbage.
Alright, we got the concrete pretty well done, so I can start messing with this siding. I'm just going to cut back to where it was good. You kind of can feel it. Like, clearly that's rotten. That's still solid. But I also want to stagger it, so when I put the new boards in, the joints don't line up. I'm going to be using a fiber cement board. It won't match exactly, but I'm going to paint it anyway, so who cares? Original board right here, I was routed out, is exactly 1 inch, so I just used 2 pieces of 1/2 inch to make up the difference. When I put some of this home wrap in here, I'm basically just lying to myself, make myself feel like it's sealed up. But I'm going to leave it long over the side, so that way when I do the other side, I can wrap it and then tape it in so that it kind of covers the corner a little better. I'm not actually going to level it. I'm going to go off the other siding on the other wall, because nothing here is level, and if I make it level, it's going to look wonky. So, I don't know. Sort of looks like a thing. I think once it's painted, you'll never know. But again, I ran this a little long. I'm going to put a piece of trim along the side all the way up and down once I get that far. But for now, I just want to get it to where water was not dumping inside of the house. So yeah, so far so good. I'm going to caulk it and seal it, but pretty pleased with it. Any exposed screw holes. It's not pretty, but it's prettier than what it was.
What it looked like before and what it looks like now. Can we all say, wow, you did a great job?